Hello everybody. In my previous video, I showed you how to create your first Holocron module. In this video, we are going to create a couple of modules and we are going to assemble them together on the page. The first module that we created was the root module, which is the entry point to our application. You can compare this module to the root component of a normal React application. In this module, all the other modules are composed and rendered as children underneath. Okay, let's start by creating a new module that will be rendered as a child of the root module. Okay, so let's go to the folder that we created in the previous video that will contain all our modules. And remember, this folder structure is just recommended so you have all your modules together and it's easy to reference them. And let's go to the one app generator once more and then copy and paste the generator command to create our new module. And let's call this module first child. And this time we select child module. We will ignore internationalization and parent middleware as well. If you don't have a root module yet, just run the generator command one more time and then select root module when prompted. Okay, now we have two modules, our first child and our root module. And let's go to the package.json of our root module. And under the modules array, let's reference our first child by adding a link to the relative path of the folder containing the child module. This option is only used in development. If you wish to load modules that are not stored locally, you can serve modules that are stored on a CDN by passing the module map URL key to the runner configuration in our package.json. The one app server will combine the remote modules and the local modules and serve them together to our application. Now let's see how to compose the module that we just created and load it from our root module. We are going to accomplish this by using module composition. The same way React works, modules are composable, which means that they can be loaded by other modules and reused across the entire application. The first method is to render a module on a specific route. Let's go to the child routes component and we are going to install a dependency. Now, before we can install it, let's ensure that we are in the correct directory. So we are going to install this in our root module and let's do npm install and we are going to save Holocron module route. The first step is to import the package that we just installed. So we're doing import module route from Holocron module route. And we create a new module route under the child routes array. And we are going to render this route under the path. Let's call this child route. We need to give the route the name of the module that we want to render. So we're going to say module name equals first child. Okay, let's save this. Now the last step is modules rendered using module route are passed to the root module via props. So we are going to render the children inside the main render method of our root module. Let's call this children and then save. Now, before we can see the changes, we need to bundle our root module. So let's go to our terminal and then type npm run build. And once it's bundled, we can go to our browser, just ensure that one app is running in the background, just a quick check. And let's have a look at our browser. We can see in localhost 3000, this is our root module. Now, if we go to our child module, we need to go to the route that we just specified in the previous step. We call this child route. And there you go. This is what the root module is rendering. This is what the first child is rendering, which is just the default welcome message. Okay, so if we go to our child, you will see inside the render method, that's the message that we just seen on the screen. Let's just change it and let's just make something different. Let's say I am the first child. And finally, let's bundle our child module before we can check for the changes. So go to the right directory, which is our child, and then do npm run build. And we can also do npm run watch build, which will check automatically for changes. Okay, so once it's bundled, we can head over back to our browser and refresh. There we go. So we have the root module and the first child. Great. Okay, so the second method is to render modules using the render module method from Holocron. Instead of rendering the module as a route, we can render a module inside another module on the same route. To illustrate this, let's create a third module. Let's go back to the folder that contains our other modules and use the generator command once more. You don't have to follow this folder structure. It's just a very convenient way of storing modules locally so they can be easily referenced. Okay, finally, let's call this module grandchild and select child module and ignore the other two options. Now we end up with three modules: our root module, our child and grandchild. And remember, these modules are completely independent. They can be deployed to a different CDN, they can be stored on a different repository, they don't have to be on the same machine, they can be developed by different teams. This way your application can grow exponentially and you don't have to rely on a single monolithic project for new features for your application. Okay, our grandchild module is ready. Now, we said that we were going to load our grandchild from the first child module. The first child module is already rendered on a route called child route. We are not going to create another route, but we are going to render the grandchild inside the first child. The first step is to dispatch the compose module action creator from Holocron. This action creator will load the Holocron module and its data. So from the first child, let's import compose modules from Holocron. And we are going to create a special function called load module data. This Holocron function fetches all the data required by your module. In this case, it will fetch the grandchild module. It receives the store and dispatch. And we are going to dispatch the compose module action creator. It takes the array of modules that you want to load. In this case, we are only going to load one module, and the name of this module is grandchild. Okay, so lastly, we need to add a special configuration object to our module. So from the name of our module, we extend the Holocron module configuration object, and we set it to the name of the module that we are configuring. In this case, this is the first child that we are configuring. So we set it to first child, and we pass the load module data function to it. Finally, we just need to render the module inside the render method of our first child. For this, we are going to use the render module component from Holocron. And let's put it just here underneath the message. We're just going to render the module, and we need to pass it the module name, and the module name is grandchild. Okay, let's save. Okay, hopefully it will show. So it is not showing. So I think we probably forgot a step. So let's take a look at our OneApp server. And it says the grandchild module was not found in the Holocron module registry. And this is because we forgot to add the module in our modules array in the package.json of our root module. Just remember, every time that you want to load a module locally in development, you need to point to the folder that the module is stored in. And I guess after that, if we go back, and you can also wait for another poll of the module map, or you can restart the server so it loads quicker. Let's just give it a restart. And finally, we'll see that the grandchild is showing. There we go. Let's just give it a more meaningful message. So in our grandchild component, let's just change the message. Let's change it to I am the grandchild. Great. And then save. And bundle this module as well. So let's go to the grandchild and npm run build. Great. So there we go. So we have our root module, which is our first Holocron, which loads the first child under the child route. So the root is just the root module, but then if you go to the child route, it will load the first child, and then the first child loads the grandchild using render module and compose modules from Holocron. In conclusion, the powerful composition model that makes React so powerful can now be extended to whole front-end experiences encapsulated in Holocron modules. These experiences can be reused across the application, developed independently, tested, and deployed to different locations. And because they can be loaded at runtime, there is no need to restart the server every time you deploy a new version of your module. Reusability is key here. You can share modules across the entire application. You could, for example, load the third module inside the root module, or create 3 copies of the child module without extra code. You just need to reference the modules and render them wherever you want on the page. This is very powerful since it will help you reduce code duplication. It will allow independent teams to work concurrently on different features at the same time without interfering with each other's work. It will also help you to reduce bugs because you are only changing what you need, and it will help you encapsulate every feature inside a module so you know what part of the application has an issue.